Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Transportation Committee meeting of February the 13th. The roll call, all members are present. I would like to welcome two new members, Councilman Savoy and Councilman Dempsey Lambert, to this committee. And at this time, Councilman Snyder will lead us in the prayer, and then we will follow by the pledge.
Dear Lord, we want to ask you to, of course, have our armed forces that we have abroad always be safe and do the things that they have set out to do. We also ask you to give our leaders of our country the ability to make good decisions when they put them in harm's way. We ask that our parish leaders also have the ability to make good decisions for the people of this parish, and that as we all go home tonight, we go home safely to our families and enjoy a nice week the rest of this week. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a public comment period. Anybody in the audience wishing to speak on an item may sign up with the secretary and speak at the agenda item. We also tonight have several two-thirds that we need to bring forth and add to the agenda. I would like to add to as item number 12, engineering services on Worthy Road, sponsored by URS and GSA.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Any objections? There are no objections. This will be addressed as item number 12. Okay, we need to add to below that item number 13 to add engineering services on intersection improvements.
So moved.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. A motion by Kent Snyder and a second by Todd Lambert. Any objections?
Excuse me, which intersection?
He just, Bill, do you have a particular intersection?
Well, the first one would be the intersection project, GSA project number 23002, which is a Phase 2A project. And that's a project that's already been completed, but we have some additional RPR services.
So it's just ongoing intersection project?
The ongoing, this is one we just completed, but again, it's permission to add to get additional payment for
What's the other
RPR.
project number?
The other one is the next project, intersection project. Right, this is the Phase 3, right?
Phase 3.
It's actually 3 phases.
Right.
Phase 3 and Phase 4.
Right, it's 2B, 3, and 4.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to add to the agenda item number 13, project number 23002, project 2A. That one passed, so that will be addressed as item number 13. We will add as a 2/3, if you so move, item number 14, engineering services for intersection improvements, also by URS and GSA project Phase 3, 2B, 3, and 4.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Dempsey Lambert and second by Todd Lambert. Any objections? Then that will be addressed as item number 14. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an update by URS on the parish and state projects. I do have someone that wants to speak at this particular item.
On agenda item number 4 has parish and state projects. Is that not where? Is that an addition as far as 15 URS?
No.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's an addition.
Sorry.
This is just an update on the current projects. The other ones are some other items that Mr. Rue wanted addressed. Mr. Oliver Joseph is wanting to ask some questions, I think, Kent, before you get into the updates.
Thank you, sir. Chairman Fontenot. And I was wanted to speak on update while you had update Parish Road and State Road. My question was regardless to 3 streets we had in the city of Downsonville, and I wanted to know what was the timeline on road projects, 06 road projects in the parish.
Okay, if you don't mind, if you'll give us the names right now, Mr. Israel is fixing to give us an update.
That's-
He may cover that in his update.
That's why.
What are the names of the roads you wanted?
Ann Street, Anna Street, and Formosa Street.
Plimsoll.
Plimsoll? Plimsoll.
Primsall. What was the second one?
Ann Street. Ann Street.
Ann, did he say Ann?
Yeah, A-N-N-A.
Anna. Okay. Okay, Mr. Israel, we will entertain your updates.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the Transportation Committee. The first set of papers I passed out was the monthly update of the status of projects, ongoing projects in Ascension Parish. In red is the latest information concerning each one of the projects as things are progressing right now. The second sheet is a sheet on the 2005 road construction program that is underway. It gives you the latest status. This was as of the end of January, and since the end of January they've done work on at least Cesar and John Broussard work there, laying asphalt down on those 2 streets. So they've made progress on that. We've had some better weather conditions in the last week and a half or so, and their Daigle is beginning to make some progress. As far as state roads, the Department of Transportation Development took bids on the LA 44 project from River Road to I-10 last Wednesday. F.J. Sullivan was the low bidder at approximately $100,000 over the estimate, but from what I hear from the department, they will accept those bids, and the contractor should start work sometime within the next 90 days. Also, the intersections of LA 70 and 22, the contractor has put up his signs, and also at the intersection of 3125 and 70, the contractor's put up his sign, so he should start actually doing some construction, moving of dirt and material in the next couple of weeks if we have some decent weather. So, questions?
Kent.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't check something.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I stopped yesterday on Highway 70 of the Bridge Road, and the crew was out there, and they said that they have to deepen a gas line at the intersection, and that they would probably begin construction right after Mardi Gras, so within a week or so. So
It's coming.
yeah, they're all out there, and they're starting work. So all the people that have to wait in line out there, I think it's going to be a big benefit there.
It's
shortly.
just a matter of if we get some decent weather in the next couple of weeks, they can really start working there.
Mr. Israel. You had something you need to ask her? want to ask something?
Not till we get to 06.
Okay. Where is he at now?
At the last council meeting, Councilman Thompson had requested a written report on West Worthy Road and Boudreaux Road Phase 2, and I included some information on the intersection improvement projects also for y'all's information. So if both of those roads have, or at least West Worthy Road has an agenda item that y'all just added tonight, and the intersection improvements has an agenda item y'all just added. So if those are passed tonight, then engineering work can proceed again towards completion. Questions?
Just, I know that Councilman Thompson was very interested in getting this information, so would you see to it that he gets a copy?
I'll email him a copy tomorrow.
Okay, that would be great.
Just one for y'all's
Councilman
information.
Lambert
If
has
y'all have any information you need on these, let me know.
Just get, it says West Worthy is reducing the stations from 26 plus 40. Is this actually narrowing the road in a certain area?
No.
Okay.
We're not going to narrow the road. We narrowed the right-of-way taking by going with some pipe in the ditches and reduce the right-of-way so we didn't impact, or we may impact, but we will not be requiring homes or trailers or things of that nature. We are reducing it by about, I think, 10 to 15 feet so that we reduce the impact on those.
How many feet of this we're looking at?
I think 25 is what we're going to require, but that we can get our section in without relocating those people along there.
All right.
That should be considerably cheaper.
Should be.
Should be, right? Councilman Savoy.
Yeah, Mr. Kent, as far as this right here, this road project, 205,
Yes.
do you have off the top of your head the construction days that was put into the contract?
Construction days were 180 days originally.
Do you have any idea where we're at?
The contractor is over, but we do recognize that he is deserving of certain construction days because of some of the problems we had with floor light and getting an answers and resolving those questions. Plus, all the bad weather we've had for the past month and a half, 2 months have been very. So we are looking at that issue of contract days right now, but he is over his limit, but he still has to finish the job, and he's working very hard right now to try to get it done.
Okay.
Any other questions, Jerry?
Yeah, one more on Joseph Ario Road. I see you got revisiting plans for Joseph Ario to add a turn lane from Severio to 933
Yes.
westbound.
Mm-hmm.
Separate project for work on LE 933.
What that intersection is on the plans currently designed for Joseph Ario. There were no turn lanes at 933. We're going to go ahead and add a turn lane on Severio southbound and build up to the intersection under the first contract. Then the second contract will be to build the turn lanes in front of the school, turning onto Joseph Ario, going towards 42. There's going to be a turn lane, or you're going to have to widen Joseph Ario south of 933 in order to make your through lanes match. So we're going to have to, that's going to take a little longer. There's going to be some additional right-of-way required, but we have phased it such that we can build the southbound turn lane and not affect traffic.
When did this come up?
We've started looking at it, summer of last year. It's taken a while. We've had to go back and forth with the state and coming up exactly what they will let us do, because we've got to get some permits from them, and it's taken a little while.
So this has been brought before the committee before and approved?
Yes.
Is it, as far as the additional right-of-way or any additional work, is it going to delay Joseph Aerial Road?
I don't think so. That's why we're splitting the intersection out. The intersection work on, or the work on 933 and the section of Joseph Aerial south of the intersection out of the main Joseph Aerial project, so we can let Joseph Aerial itself as soon as the utilities are being completed with their relocation.
Mr. Rue wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, the Joseph Aerial, the only thing left, I think, is a few poles that have to be removed from all the lines been switched over, all the utilities been moved, and I think we're going to be going very shortly, as soon as the bid documents are prepared, trying to go to bid on Joseph Aerial Road. So we're going to try to get that going pretty soon. The other intersection project came as an afterthought for two reasons. Number one is that once we start looking at it, a simple turn lane off of southbound off of Joseph Aerial onto the 933 wasn't adequate. Mainly because of the traffic that stacks up at that location trying to get to the school to pick up their children, and also school buses turning. So the decision was made a good time ago to go ahead with a full intersection project at that point. The other point is the fact that we're getting through two developments, Keystone and Greystone. We're going to be getting in excess of, I think, it's $150,000 or more dollars that they have already paid. They gave us a check a week ago that we have in our account, the parish has, that is going against the cost of that intersection, and as part of their conditions of building their projects. So we're going to be reimbursed somewhat for at least the signalization and some cost of that intersection.
And that was my next question. I'm glad to hear that we are getting some help from the development coming up in that area.
And on that issue, we are really demanding a lot more of developments for both in drainage and in transportation when they come before us at DPW and the Drainage Board, and we're getting a good contribution from more developments now in both those areas.
Cannon Road, what are we going to do at Cannon Road?
What the idea right now is the worst area is from the bridge to Roddy Road, and the next step is for GSA to design an urban section through that area, so we similar to West Worthy, so it doesn't impact or lessens the impact to the houses through there. Urban intersection, curb and gutter probably type road from the bridge to Roddy. That's the only thing we have on the books now, because that's the worst section, the most dangerous section. And and the other section with that is the Roddy Road from 931 to 621. Same thing. Both of those projects is contracted to GSA to design, and that's the next two roads on our project list to get to the right of way and utility grubbing and clearing utility relocation.
That's all I got, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Dempsey had a question.
Bill, when will we advertise bids on Joseph Aerial? I mean, I've been keeping up with the relocates. I mean, we real close. We should be finished.
We're just finished modifying the plans to add the turn lanes. We're going to be sending the final plans back to URS for review probably within the next week. Once we get their comments back, if there are any adjustments we need to make, revise the plans, it'll be ready to advertise at that point. So I would say in the next 60 days, we'll be in a position to advertise Joseph Aerial, not the intersection, but everything up to the intersection of Joseph Aerial.
What we'll probably do is come back to the next transportation meeting. We'll have it on the agenda to permission to advertise for bids. So at any point after that, we can go straight to bids, and we won't have to come back to the council.
Thank you.
Councilman Carver.
Yeah, I'd like to do a little discussion on the 06 project. 40% of its preliminary engineering done. I know we got it in-house, but we're no longer have a engineer in that department.
Right.
So I'm kind of concerned about this project just lingering.
I can give you an update, Councilman.
Okay.
Excuse me. The only thing we're in the process of getting 2 surveys done, and that's on 2 gravel roads that's being rehabilitated, and that's Alligator Bayou Road and also Ella Street. Those are gravel and a full reconstruction of those 2. Primarily the quantity sheets, the quantities takeoff has been completed with the exception of the final determination of quantities on the sectional repairs. We should have that with the plans completed within a week. And after that, it's going to go to URS for review and come back to us to answer their comments and put in any kind of conditions into that plans that they recommend, and then to be ready to come before you for permission to advertise.
What about Diversion Canal Road? That's a reconstruction too.
Right. That's on the 2006.
Because it's getting real bad.
Right. No, that's part of it. And we did some emergency striping on a lot of roads, but I just want to remind everybody that was emergency striping just for bad weather until the time we can recondition and do something more permanent on a lot of the roads.
So you don't have a time frame on those as far as us?
I'm hoping to have it completed. We should have the quantity. We should have all the engineering part done by the next committee meeting.
Great.
Okay.
Bill, Councilman Hillensbeck asked about Brown Road 3 that's on the 06 project.
It's on there, and it's an overlay project, and basically one of the reasons it kind of stalled a little bit. Of course, we lost 2 engineers since this thing started up, and basically myself and CJ took over the operation at DPW, and I've been doing most of the quantity takeoff, but. Brown Road and most of these roads has been changed to a simple overlay. That is the policy of DPW now, in lieu of milling and going and reconditioning the sub base. We're going with a simple overlay of most of these roads, and so that has changed and simplified the operation a good bit. Brown Road is a simple overlay, and in fact, the quantities of it has already been completed.
I also had someone ask about Lazy Oaks. Is that on one of the current projects?
Lazy Oaks. Do you know where Lazy? I can't.
It's off of 931. I think it was an 05 road project.
Yeah, it might have been.
I think that's a Godfrey Shake Snyder. Or
I'm not exactly sure. I couldn't. So many roads have been going through us lately on different projects.
Lazy Oak is part of the 06.
The 06 project.
Yeah.
So
Part of 06.
it is on the project. Good.
Yes.
Okay, I can bring that update there. Councilman Shake, someone.
Bill, you said that you've lost 2 people.
Well, engineers. Well,
2
Dennis
engineers.
Babin left, and then we hired another engineer, and he lasted about 2 weeks, and he left us. So we're without a road engineer right now.
How long has it been since Mr. Babin left the parish?
Since last year. I guess fall, September or so, and then we had Mr. Mano came in for about a month, maybe that long, and then he decided to leave.
Are we actively trying to get somebody on board?
I've interviewed one person so far, and she went to a final interview with the parish president, and she just told me after that interview that she decided not to stay where she is. She didn't want to leave her other job.
So what I'm hearing is there's none out there?
It's very hard to find any kind of engineering, civil engineer right now, especially at the amount of money that the parish is available to pay.
Okay. That's all I got, Mr. Fontenot.
You have any other updates?
Not on those.
Bill, if you would, I'd like at this time to ask if you would look into putting a 3-way stop sign at Ridgewood and Duplessis. Mr. Mike Anderson, you can call him. He's on the corner of Ridgewood and Duplessis, is requesting that. And then he also has a complaint. He said that the developers, the Renaissance developers, are tearing up the road with the wide load equipment on that road, and he was very concerned. He made a trip to my house this evening. That's why I'm bringing it up tonight, and asked that I would see, get you to look into it if you would. Anything else on the Councilman Lambert?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. There's two intersections. I don't know if you'll have anything in the works, both Highway 621 and J.D. Broussard, where we've been having some bad accidents, and George Rouillet at Black Bayou. Are we doing any type of lighting or trying to do something to help? Because they've had some bad wrecks.
Well, the primary one that we have been checking in on is, or checking on with DOTD is 621 and Broussard,
right,
and J.D. Broussard, and that we consider that in need of a signal light or a caution light, if nothing else, at least a caution light at that location. We've made a request to DOTD, and they're investigating it as to the warrant.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, Bill. Dempsey brought up George Rouillet. Black Bayou and 621, they got the wooded area. Is there any way we can get right away from the landowner to clear them corners? It is very serious. There's some very bad accidents at both of them corners. I think it's a
the problem is on 621, and it's when you approach it from George Rouillet. And that is on State Highway. It'd be an addition to the State Highway.
But I think the problem is the landowner with the woods.
That's right. But it's still when you get to the property goes along 621, and that's where it needs to be pulled back and trees removed or limbs removed, and that's along DOTD right of way. Or if it's added to DOTD's right of way.
Can we send a resolution to DOT to look into that?
Well, I guess
are we working with them on it?
The best thing to do is see if we can contact, easiest thing, just see if we can contact the property owner and see if he'll just let us right of entry to go in there and just clean it back, maybe 10 feet or 15 foot with his permission. And then it's just a one-time right of entry.
That's what I'm trying to do.
And that's the simplest thing. No servitude, anything like this. Just a right of entry to clean it, and I can check with the landowner.
I think it's Mr. Tripp. They didn't own that property. Thank you.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to mention too that Mr. Israel didn't mention today, but Airline Highway is looking good. They are working on those intersections. I've been getting a lot of complaints because of the potholes there. They are repaired, and I'm getting emails saying thank you, thank you, thank you.
District construction engineer told me this morning that the contractor had done some work on Airline. I think I saw one of the turn lanes that's still not finished as far as the first.
They're working their way down, right?
Yeah, but he's at least shown back up.
Right. And 621 and Airline was really, really bad, and they've gotten that one into the, the first overlay stage.
Yeah.
So at least it's drivable now, and there's no potholes, so that works. Another question, Mr. Rue, someone has asked me about Swamp Road if they're going to complete the striping, or have you completed the striping? They were asking about striping, so I'm not sure. I haven't been down there in the last week or two.
I know the striping, all the striping that was contracted to date has been completed. Was completed a couple of weeks ago. So I have to check and see if that road was, and if it was, what part, if only sections of it was done, or if more of it was supposed to and just not gotten to. So I just have to check it out.
I would appreciate that, and just email me if you get an answer to that. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Mr. Israel. We appreciate it. Item number 5, the update on grass cutting, spraying on roadside ditches. Mr. Rue.
Well, the only thing we have to say about that is the fact that we are manning up for the summer season, grass cutting rotations, and the equipment is being prepared now to begin that. We still have not concluded our negotiations with DOTD on the state contract. They asked for more information, the audit section of DOTD, and we're trying to complete a few more bits of information that they needed. And as of right now, though, we do not have a contract with DOTD. The second issue with that, if in fact they do not up it to the amount that is needed to at least break even with the problems or the budget deficit that's in the road department now, it'll have to come back to the council and to the administration to determine even if they want to renew it, even if they up the price a little bit. If it's not to the amount of break even, it may be the choice of the council or the parish president not to renew the contract. So we'll keep you informed on what's happening on that issue.
Any questions?
I guess I got one.
Councilman Conley?
Bill, you say the road bridge deficit. With the tax base up like that, we are still looking at a deficit?
It's a deficit from what was accepted when you approved your budget in December. Since the split with the drainage department and realignment of the way the salaries and equipment are allocated, it will produce a deficit from what you budgeted in December. And I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it should be in the neighborhood of $1 to $1.5 million.
So we're saving that much on the drainage?
At least, or even more. But the before you, the problem is this: is where the money to come from if you're going to keep it at status quo. If you got, where you're going to bring in another $1 to $1.5 million to keep everything status quo. And if you don't have the money, where are you going to make cuts at? So one could possibly be the state contract, in that right now we're losing a couple $100,000, at least $150,000 a year by doing the state work on state highways. It's just not enough to break even. So again, these are possibilities that I'm sure are going to come to you very shortly.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Bill, as far as contracting this out, we're going to need some other ideas if we end up having to cut on some of this stuff. Can you get us some info on that?
Well, again, it's the administration and the council's decision on how you want, if you want to help subsidize a state contract to cut the state roads. Again, I can give you my own opinion on it, but it really comes down to you. If you think it's worth subsidizing the state contract so you can have more control over getting some of these roads cut and cleaned, it's purely up, again, it's going to come back to y'all for that decision. But I wouldn't recommend contracting it out to somebody else. It's either we do it or we give it back to the state.
This particular, you finished?
Yeah, thank you.
This particular area is, is of really importance because these are main highways. So, depending on what DOTD does with the grass cutting, if they don't cut it on a regular basis, it can really become a danger, on some of our highways, which is, a big concern. Councilman Shakespeare.
And you're absolutely right, but also make sure that's the state's responsibility.
It is, I agree.
And and we need to call the state people on that. And I'm not for or against. I think there's some happy medium in this, but at some point in time, we need to let the state be accountable for what the state is responsible for, and we need to take care of our business. And so maybe the phone calls need to be redirected to people that are responsible for those areas. And
I agree.
And if it is dangerous, then it is their responsibility. And so, it's just something hard to do because we want what's best for our people. And
exactly.
But we're taking monies that might not be available for otherwise essential services and putting it on something that is a state responsibility. And so
we may need to get our state senator and representatives involved in this issue.
I think that would be a good issue to renegotiate the amount of money that we receive, and because seeing the different level of services that the people receive, and we might have an opportunity to get more some kind of way.
Does anybody else have any questions on this issue? Thank you, Mr. Rue. Our next item is summary of minimum pavement design thickness. Again, Mr. Ken Israel with URS.
Thank you. At the last Transportation Committee meeting, we had passed out this information, and two of the questions that had been brought up by the council members was what is the additional cost would be to change the requirement for our subdivision streets typical section from a 3-inch minimum asphalt over 10 inches of soil cement to 3.5 inches of asphalt over 10 inches of soil cement, and change our minimum thicknesses for our collector roads from 2 inches over 10 inches of soil cement to 4.5 inches over 10 inches of soil cement. And for the subdivisions, it would mean a 2.7% increase in the total cost of a mile of subdivision road. For the collector roads, which are mostly parish roads, it would mean a 26% increase in cost, because we're going from 2 inches to 4.5 inches. It's a major increase in thickness. So y'all had asked that I give you some information on that, and you also asked about soil cement content, and my recommendation on that would be to follow DOTD standard specifications for material, which gives you what the percent of cement has to be for the different types of soil. So, questions?
Yes, sir. I guess we can go this route or extend the warranty on the roads. We're running into a lot of problems with our subdivision roads, and the development starts a year warranted. It's the subdivision is not completed, and we take in the roads, and when finally the subdivision is complete, the roads are deplorable, and they're in the parish's hands. Then we could either extend the warranty or upgrade the standards on building the new ones. So we really need to look at it hard and make a move one way or another.
Councilman Chixman.
Yes. Thank you, Chairman. As we look through this chart, and they have 7 area parishes that it has comparisons for.
Yes.
The only one that is less than us is Baton Rouge, East Baton Rouge, and they, I saw an article in the paper that they are upgrading theirs.
Slightly, to 2 inches, I believe.
I think it's going more than that.
Okay, well,
I think they've doubled theirs.
Okay, well,
from what they were saying, and everyone else has greater than ours.
Correct.
And so I don't think we're out of line at all getting, in fact, we would be 5 out of the 7 as far as thickness of roads built. And so I don't think that's out of line for local roads, nor whatever the cost would be, because the surrounding areas are doing more than that, and some of them significantly more. So I think in the long run we would, as Councilman Lambert was saying, we'd be saving money, because either one way or another we're going to have to bond out these roads for other people building them, or we're going to have to ask them to build them better. And I think we just, we need to ask them to increase the requirements so we can have roads last a longer period of time.
Correct.
And we won't have to go right back after them. So I'm for the increase. I think most of these roads are being put in by developers, and we accept them after that, and so I think that would be something good for us to do.
Councilman Savoy.
Yeah, I think one thing that is important for us to look at is go back and get some information from some of these other parishes as far as what's the life expectancy of their, or what they experience, or what are they experiencing with their roads that where they're laying 4 inches or 5 inches versus Ascension Parish laying 2 inches. Because if that's where you can find out if it's worth it for us to move toward laying more asphalt. All right. If I'm not mistaken, Glenn, back whenever we passed the half-cent sales tax and we talked about this 2-inch spec, the road should last, what, 15 years?
Right. 12 to 15.
No, are we getting 12 to 15 years out of our roads? Okay.
No. About 10.
10?
At the most.
Okay. What are they getting? What are other parishes getting?
Okay.
For 4 inches?
I can contact these parishes and find out what they're, and I know most state roads, and I'm talking like 921, 431, about a 4-inch overlay is what they use as pretty well their maximum, unless they're really high volume roads.
Okay, because I am for getting more life out of a road, but I want to make sure you get them. If you pay twice as much, I want to make sure we get quite a bit more life expectancy out of it. All right, that's just for food for thought.
Okay. Well, I can gather some more information and bring it back to you again.
But we have 2 issues too, and that's the fact subdivision road compared to the parish roads, and the fact with parish roads. I mean, if you look at the life expectancy of at least some of our newer subdivisions, that they should last, or they have been lasting longer, a good bit longer, percentage-wise, than our parish roads. But our parish roads, again, going back to they're not wide enough in a lot of instances, which cause damages to the edges and to slough off. We had problems with the trees too close. We had problems with floor light. So we look at all of that. Well, yeah, they didn't last that long, but a lot of the problems had to do with what the base was made of, especially with the floor light, and the conditions of the road when they were first applied. So, you can't. It's kind of you can't really compare the two. Subdivision road compared to our parish road that was done, the initial batch that was done back in the early 90s.
And going back to the mid-90s is that we looked at the spec, or they looked at the spec, because that was right before I came on board. As far as 2-inch spec, they were looking to stretch out as much as they could very quickly. Get Ascension Parish out of the dust, which was a good idea. And now is a good time, because how many gravel roads do we have now?
Well, we're adding a few every year, but right now we're searching, for gravel road. We have 2 in this program coming up.
We've accomplished getting Ascension Parish out of the dust. Now it is the proper time to come back and look at the spec to see if we can get a few more years out of the life expectancy. Okay, that's all.
What should be the next step? I know he's going to bring us some information back, but where would this go to accomplish this? Would this go to strategic planning? Would it go to Michael Sanjay? Or
no. Well, if I may,
it's not just
develop. I mean, does it have to go in our code? Is what I'm saying.
I can answer part of it, or at least give you direction on answer part and give you direction on the other. Part of it has to do with parish road, parish projects, and we do that determination, that DPW is a done deal. As long as y'all want us to up the grade or up the specs on it, it's done. We can do that internally. The other part is the subdivision roads, and we're going to be taking the new specification for subdivisions back, I think, or ready to go to the planning. We can make that little bit of change in that subdivision regulation specs, and that can be done through that route. So basically, we don't need really any action from the council to do both those things.
That's what I was asking. Thank you very much.
Chairman.
Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, I'm also in favor for the recommendations. Also, can we look at 15 to 24 months on the extending this, or what are y'all looking at as far as the dates on the warranty dates?
I think that's been bantered back and forth a good bit, but was never really determined what can be done or should be done.
Can we also get that? I'd like to see it at least 15 to 24 months.
That would have to go as far as subdivision roads have to go into the specifications, subdivision regulations, and stuff like that, which is a whole different route through the Planning Commission and to the council after the Planning Commission. So, which I would recommend probably going through the strategic planning on looking at the warranty period and stuff like that of subdivision roads.
Jen, is that something you addressed?
We had made a recommendation to come forward with recommendations on that from administration is what it would take to, we don't know what it would take to bond out these roads and how soon they fail and everything, and so we're looking for a recommendation. That was already determined. We talked about it in a number of meetings, and as soon as you get a determination for a recommendation from administration, the people that work on that every day, and the inspectors and all, whatever we need, we're glad to do. But we're looking for, some form of direction here as to what is needed to make sure that ensure that these roads are doing okay. And if you say that, it seems to be we're having a problem with 12 months. And that's a general consensus, because everybody says, well, that they're not complete, and we're approving roads, and the construction's still going on. And so our natural reaction was to, well, what would it take? And so we're still waiting to hear back as what it would take to make sure that they're doing okay. So as soon as you give us a recommendation, we're ready to move on it.
Which will be March. We're looking for that recommendation in March.
We're looking for
that would have to. That's not under DPW's purview, so that would have to come from the Planning Commission or someone else with it.
Well, no, who does the inspections on these roads?
That's the Planning Department, and
well, can you?
in charge of that.
I would like to make a recommendation for a resolution from this body that the Planning Department give us a recommendation on these bonding extensions and what it needs to be so that we can move forward on this. And we'd like to have it by March meeting.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah. There's two issues here we're talking about. We're talking about upping the specs on the thickness of asphalt and the warranty period.
Right.
You're talking about sending the warranty period to planning department.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
We've already taken care of the upping the specs. I can just do that internally. That doesn't need council action.
What you going to?
We can go with the recommendations of URS on Parish Road, collectors Parish Roads, which is our design, and on subdivision, we're going to enter it into the new subdivision specs,
Do we not have to?
because that has not been accepted by the council yet. It's going through the Planning Commission too.
No, that's an in-house thing.
Okay.
We can do it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to send this to Planning and Zoning Department. Is that correct?
Yeah, to give us a report.
To
next
give
month.
us a report
A
next.
recommendation.
A recommendation by next month. Any objections? Gentlemen, would you see to it that they get that resolution? Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, next is item number 7, discussion on hiring a traffic engineer. I'm assuming that's you, Mr. Root.
I didn't put it on there, but I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. We are in need of another engineer. I've been actively looking for an engineer. It's hard to find. The fact of the matter is we need an engineer, in my estimation, hire an engineer to take over the road design, road department, engineering issues, and also to put the subdivision inspectors back under that engineer as far as subdivision infrastructure inspection. Add to that inspection department too, at least 2 more people. And all of it, of course, answering to the road and subdivision engineer. And that would be my suggestion. I just have not been able to find somebody as of yet to come to work for us.
Councilman Sexton.
And just for general information, we do not have a DPW director yet on board, and we do not have a planning and zoning director, which has been, I think, a year. So the 2 people that needs to make this determination is not there. So hopefully we can get these people hired so we can move forward in this and a number of other things.
Any other questions on this matter? We'll move on to item number 8, which is Edenborn Access Road to Loosemore Road. Mr. Rue?
I can comment on it, but I'd like to give this over to Councilman Shakes now. He was in a meeting with myself and the developers, and I think he can comment on this.
Thank you a lot, Mr. Rue. As per your recommendation, of course, they had a developer that is developing a big project called Edenborn. It's located in the city of Gonzales, and the back end of their development, they're trying to get a second exit, and as they're working, they're also working to get a road that is going to eventually connect to Landry Road, Cabela's, somewhere in that area. They're working on that now, or with the parish. They're trying to partner to get a road through there, but obviously that's going to take a good while, and so they have requested access for the back of the residential section to come to Loosemore Road. We've had discussions with the sheriff, a number of homeowners in the area, and the big thing that was brought up is that they would like to keep it where it would be, on a normal situation, very few people, so they have or will design the residential roads so that they will be crisscrossing, and it will not be just a through area that they can readily go there. So that would cut down on the amount of people that would use Loosemore because it's such a narrow street. And the other thing that was asked is that they do some intersection improvements, and the developer right away agreed to take up the responsibility that they had. They had another development that was proposed in the area, and it's not on track right now, so they agreed to take that up, and they're going to do the intersection improvements at 44 and Loosemore. So with that on board, we're looking forward to getting turning lanes and probably a light at that intersection, which would make it a lot safer. And with those conditions, it was agreed by all parties there that this would be a good thing to do, so to have an access road to Loosemore as a secondary entrance and exit.
Cost to the parish?
No cost.
There was no cost. They would put in $200,000, I think, for the intersection improvements, which is a great deal.
And if I can, Councilman, I've been in talks with the developer also, and I guess this is important for the council members and the administration to understand that he's waiting to negotiate or enter into negotiations on the tax agreement between the city and the parish on that piece of land. Is located in the city, and all of this is contingent on suitable negotiations on how the taxes will be split. And I don't think he has a chance to talk to anybody yet with the administration, but he is waiting for that a meeting to start those negotiations. As you know, it was incorporated within the parish, and the parish still has the right to collect taxes. And I think this might be a deal breaker if, in fact, there's no type of compromise. And this is the word from him. So that's as far as I got involved with the situation.
Any other comments?
Nope.
So this is not a done deal type thing yet, Kent. This is just something that's being proposed, and they're working with the city. This is part of the proposal of they're working with the city and the parish because it overlaps. Right.
And he also says he was on board to try to partner with the parish to extend the road to Landry and or Cabela's up in that area. So.
Right.
And I'd like to add how this is going to impact the Transportation Committee and the parish. he's willing to donate the $200,000. Again, this was originally, like Councilman Shakenhouse said, originally we're going to be committed to the parish by the other developer who end up backing out of the development. They knocked down Loosemore. The Highway 44 has been bid. They're ready to mobilize and start construction. The intersection of 941 and 44 and Loosemore is not in the project right now. It was and always intended on being added as a change order. Part of the agreement with DOTD is to come up with about $300,000 that the parish needs. $200,000 was being donated by the developer. However, we're getting into a crunch time now. We need to enter into a governmental agreement with DOTD committing to roughly $300,000, and that needs to be done pretty soon. I don't have the intergovernmental agreement and all the specifics from DOTD yet, but if we linger too long on this, we could lose out of this being into the program. So as soon as I get more information, I've been in talks with DOTD the last couple of days. As soon as I get more information, specific information, I'll have to bring it back to the committee.
To the committee.
But if this again, this contractor or this developer is willing to give $200,000, but he's not to give the $200,000 until he gets some kind of agreement with the parish about the taxes. Right. And he's willing to give $200,000, but he just can't. He told me until that happens. It may come to a point where the committee may have to commit to putting up the $300,000 in hopes of getting the $200,000 back from the developer or another developer down the road that may come to that location. So this is something you need to think about and consider, because it should be coming to you fairly shortly on making a final decision.
On a final decision, well, Mr. Rue, you know that we're always willing to work with you on this, so that if we do need a special meeting, if you give us fair notice, we will try to deal with it if we have to make a decision before the next Transportation Committee meeting.
And I hope
if you would be
right.
privy to that kind of information that we wouldn't know about. So if you see we need
right.
to move forward.
I have requested from DOTD today. They're in seminars right now, but I contacted the district engineer and the DOTD chief engineer, one of the engineers in charge of their project, and I requested a intergovernmental agreement on that project. So I need something. I wanted something in writing, firm, to bring to you for you to vote on and make a decision. And I'm waiting on that. Hopefully, I can get that within a week or so, and then I can bring it back to you.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Well, and I think they needed a recommendation from the Transportation Committee for the Edenboard Access Road because of the right-of-way issue.
Well, the right-of-way issue.
You were going to join the right-of-way? Right.
Well, more of that is really the drainage board issue, because the drainage board is coming right alongside of a drainage ditch that goes from Loosemore to Conway Bayou, and they were going to incorporate that into their design and actually cover most of it and use it as part of their entrance. But it would benefit the parish in that it's covered and no more maintenance to it, and it beautify that section of ditch. So actually that needs to come from the drainage board, allowing us to revoke that servitude or at least lessen it so they can use it. But we're waiting on the design from them to show the drainage board exactly what they're talking about and how much dedication that they need to revoke from that servitude. So I'm still waiting on information from them.
Well, I think in order to have some type of movement here, I would like to make a motion that we approve of the Essex Road to Loosemore pending the donation of the monies for the intersection improvements and pending approval of the drainage department for their design. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Any objections? Then that will be brought to the next council meeting. Thank you, Cinnamon. Anybody else have any other questions on this issue? The next one, I think we covered. It was the update on road widening for Worthy Road and Boudreaux. Mr. Israel, there's anything extra to say about that? Then we're going to pass on that. Item number 10, Articles of Agreement, ETEL relocation for Boudreaux Road improvements. Project number 2001.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve this Articles of Agreement. Any objections?
Question.
Question.
Bill, give me a little bit of information on what I'm looking at here.
That's
I haven't had a chance to read it.
That's relocation of utilities by ETEL in their right-of-way on Boudreaux Road, second phase. That's the one that we're finishing up. Excuse me, to finish it up on the relocation right now. That's the second phase of Boudreaux Road, and they're asking for $82,000, and in which we are obligated to pay. It's in their servitude, and we're requiring them to move out of the servitude, relocate. It does not include certain upgrades of their system, which they are going to pay for. This is over and above that. So,
Okay.
I have a motion and a second to send this to the full council. Any objections? There being no objections, the motion passed. That will be on the next council agenda. Number 11, Parish roads to be accepted. Mr. Rue.
okay, these are subdivisions that has been inspected and has passed the final inspection by the planning department. Jefferson Crossing, 4th and 5th filings, Springwood Avenue, West Lake Drive, and Long Lake Drive. We recommend acceptance into the
Motion.
Parish system.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept these roads. Mr. Schechtner.
Bill, were you involved in these, the process for accepting these?
I have not, but I have talked to the inspectors that were involved, and they gave me assurances that all has passed inspection.
Okay, so you've spoken with the inspectors?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the roads of Jefferson Crossing, Springwood Avenue, West Lake Drive, Long Lake Drive. You including Summer Lake too?
No, I'd
That's
like
a
to take them
separate
separate. Subdivision of Summer Lake subdivision, Summerbrook Avenue, Summer Trace Drive, Summer Wind Avenue, and Riverstone Drive.
Before we get into that, we'll close out this motion.
Right.
That motion passed and put Jefferson Crossing on the Parish roads to be accepted. And then now we'll take a motion
So
for...
moved.
I have a motion by Todd Lambert and the second by Dempsey Lambert to accept the Summer Lake subdivision roads. Any objections? There being no objections, this will go on the next Council Transportation Committee meeting. Okay, we have some added items here. At number 12, URS and Mr. Glenn Shaheen, engineering services for Worthy Road.
GSA has submitted to Department of Public Works a supplemental request for West Worthy Road to perform additional, to prepare the right-of-way maps for this stretch where we have reduced the right-of-way, and also additional engineering to do the design work for reduction in the right-of-way. The total cost of preparing the right-of-way maps and the additional engineering is $22,337. Recommend to the council it be approved.
Councilman Schechtner.
Did you check over this? Numbers add
Yes.
up? Everything's fine? I
Yes.
move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Schechtner and a second by Mr. Lambert. Any questions, Mr. Sawant?
Yeah, let me make sure we understand this. Now, we've already approved engineering. We've already done engineering based on a certain right-of-way.
we did engineering, and a right-of-way was set for that section. It was the right-of-way that was set was impacting these homes in approximately a 1,000-foot stretch. It was requested to look at alternatives to reduce the right-of-way. Several different alternatives were looked at. One was to move the road, and the one that was chosen and recommended was to reduce the right-of-way by reducing the section or changing the section to a curb and gutter section.
How much money have we spent on the original engineering design before we found out that we couldn't get the right-of-way?
I don't have that information, Jerry. Mr. Savoy,
I mean, right in front of me. I don't have it. We can get it to you.
get it.
Okay. I need that answered before it comes before the full council.
I can clarify just a little bit. That's on West Worthy, right?
Yeah.
The problem, what happened was we went into a standard engineering design of that road like we did on the other road, Parker, Boudreaux, and so on. Once we got into it, because of proximity to the houses, we started running in, we could see that we would run into a lot of problems on relocation because of the houses so close. And we did not make that, we didn't really make that determination until after the first design was done. We're going in there and trying to negotiate with the landowners. Then we backed up and said, well, how can we make it a little bit easier and take less houses, make it relocation less an impact. And that's when we went back to GSA and say, look, what else can we do in lieu of taking more right-of-way? Let's condense it more of an urban section. That's how it came about. So it really, the choice came through URS and DPW to go back and reconsider the design.
I want to know how much money the parish has spent on Worthy Road on engineering to date.
Okay.
That's all I want to know
Will do.
for right now. Okay, that's all I got, Mr. Fontenot.
Bill, is this particular section, didn't they have like a cemetery or something, or wasn't that?
Not here.
That
I
was
think
on
part of
Boudreaux.
it is, but these. Oh, that's on
Boudreaux.
Boudreaux. But well, on further down, this doesn't impact the Worthy Road. There is a cemetery on Worthy, but it's not impacted by the widening. This mainly had to do with the close proximity of the houses next to Worthy Road in a certain section of the highway.
Right.
And we thought it would be probably pretty easy to go through there and just relocate these people because of the type houses they were, most of them off the ground. But once we got into it, we started seeing that that wasn't that easy, and that it probably be, even though we have to pay more costs like engineering and all, we're going to come out better on the back end in that we don't have to relocate or impact damages to a lot of these property owners.
Right.
So that's when we reconsidered it.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to send it to the full council. Any objections to that? Then the motion passed and we'll send it to the full council. The next item is item number 13, and it's dealing with added engineering services for intersection improvements on project 23002 phase 2A.
Again, GSA requested additional fees for the construction inspection of the first or phase 2A of the intersection improvement program. These are for the roads that have already been, intersections that have already been completed by the contractor. And the total is $7,801.98. I did review these and found them to be in line.
Second.
I have a motion by Dempsey Lambert and a second by Councilman Shanks-Snyder to accept this proposal. Any questions?
I'd like to have a copy of what you got, Mr. Kent.
Okay.
Any objections? Then this too will go to the full council. Item number 14 is also added engineering services for intersection improvements project phase 2B, 3, and 4.
Okay. This is a request for additional engineering services to do traffic analysis and design on Phase 2B, which is Ascension 929 at US 61, Black Bayou Road, Black Bayou Extension at LA 44, and LA 621 at US 61, Phase 3, which is Duplessis Road at US 61, and Causeway Merritt Evans at 44, and Phase 4 is Roddy Road at US 61. Again, this is for additional traffic analysis that the Department of Transportation has required in order to get permits for these intersections, 'cause most of them tie into state routes, including meetings with the Department of Public Works, and additional topo for Phase 4, which is the Roddy Road one. The total is $42,836, and I have reviewed it, and we've recommended it be accepted by the Transportation Committee.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Rabbit, second by Councilman Shakespeare. Any questions?
What was the cost? What was the additional cost?
The total for all of it is $42,836.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
It would be, anyway, we have a motion and a second. Any objections? No objections, and this will be added to the Council of Transportation. These are the kind of things that we really need to have in advance, and we really need to have a copy. We really should just even send it back. We didn't tonight, but in the future, I would appreciate it if we get this type of stuff ahead of time so that we can review it, because it's awfully hard to make a decision when you don't know what you're making a decision on. That concludes everything, gentlemen. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending our meeting. Drive safely.